Hello students, welcome to ePathshala program. Today we are going to discuss about the structural and functional aspects of lipids, more so of the conjugated linoleic acid and gamma linolenic acid. My name is Dr. K. Bhaskarachari. I am working in the National Institute of Nutrition as a senior scientist, going to discuss about the structural lipids and conjugated linoleic acid and gamma linolenic acid. As we are all aware, fat is an essential nutrient. Fat cannot be synthesized inside the body. Therefore, fat should be supplemented through the diet. Fat has different components like fatty acids, and various fatty acids has been classified into saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. And today what we are trying to learn about the unsaturated fatty acids, and particularly the gamma linolenic acid and conjugated linoleic acid. When we look about these omega 3 fatty acids, and people now recognize the importance of the diet quality by looking its omega 3 and omega 6 fatty acids in the diet, which are very helpful for alleviating the non-communicable diseases. Particularly cardiovascular diseases are going up in our country. The diet quality is very essential to augment particularly these problems in our country. Earlier, 50 years back, communicable diseases were rampant in this country. Because of so many interventions, now the communicable diseases has been reduced, but non-communicable diseases has increased, and particularly cardiovascular diseases are going up in this country. Therefore, learning about these fatty acids, more so about the omega 6 fatty acids, and how to improve the diet quality and live happily and healthy. Let us understand what is conjugated linoleic acid. Linoleic acid is the most common omega 6 fatty acid found in large amounts of vegetable oils which we commonly consume, like peanut oil, mustard oil and sunflower oil, safflower oil, but it also available in various other foods. The word conjugated has to do with the arrangements of double bonds in the fatty acid molecule. There are actually 28 different forms of conjugated linoleic acid, but two of the most important ones are C9, T11 and T10 and C12. If you look at the structure of the linoleic acid, conjugated linoleic acid, and their differences between these two. Initially, if you look at the linoleic acid, which is 18:2, 2 denotes that it has two double bonds. That is why it is called unsaturated fatty acid, and this being the omega 6 fatty acid, and you could see that their two bonds appears. And when it comes to the conjugated linoleic acid, which is also unsaturated, which is also having two double bonds, but they are of at a different position. Therefore, they are conjugated, and if you look at the 9th position, the cis form, and the trans position at the 11th carbon atom, you could see the double bond. So also when you look at the other form of the conjugated linoleic acid, which also is 18:2, that is two double bonds, but at the trans position at the 10th carbon atom and the cis position at the 12th carbon atom, you could see the double bonds. So conjugated linoleic acid is a type of polyunsaturated fatty acid with both cis and trans configurations. So what are the sources of conjugated linoleic acid? Conjugated linoleic acid is an altered form of linoleic acid, an omega 6 fatty acid important to human health. Omega 6 fatty acids are derived from meat and dairy products. Therefore, conjugated linoleic acid is found in meat and dairy products. Conjugated linoleic acid cannot be synthesized by the human body, but it can be made available through foods such as whole milk, butter, beef and lamb. Also some of the milk products like kova, paneer, cheese, which we could get, some of these products also having the conjugated linoleic acid. If you look at the pictorially, the sources which I have just now described is about the milk and milk products, not the milk. When the milk is processed to curd or to the cheese or to the butter or for that matter other products also, you could find this conjugated linoleic acid. So, also meat, the red meat which also contains, it is a good source of conjugated linoleic acid. Grass fed ruminants also, they have this conjugated linoleic acid. Eggs, which we advocate that every day human beings should consume at least one egg per day. Egg yolk is very rich source of these conjugated linoleic acid. Fish is another one which has been advocated nutritionists particularly for cardiovascular health. At least twice in a week if somebody consumes fish will have a beneficial effect not to have cardiac arrest or the cardiovascular problems. These fish is also very rich source particularly for the conjugated linoleic acid. Fresh ground beef is also rich source for this fatty acid. So, now we look into the health benefits and particularly relates with cancer, cardiovascular diseases which are non-communicable diseases. Now, many people have worked in this area, particularly working with the conjugated linoleic acid and with the non-communicable diseases and particularly on the cardiovascular health, where the many papers have published in this area have been conducted on animals and with human subjects to understand the importance of conjugated linoleic acid in disease. Results of these studies show that conjugated linoleic acid may effective against diseases like cancer and obesity. Obesity particularly is going up even in our country. Earlier, 40 years back, we have the problem of only undernutrition, but today India is facing not only the undernutrition, but also obesity and overweight. Not only a particular cancer, but also a specific cancers like the breast cancer, colorectal cancer, lung cancer, skin and stomach cancers have also been shown that there will be a reduction when the conjugated linoleic acid has been given along with the diet. Atherosclerosis, which is also linked with the cardiovascular diseases. Conjugated linoleic acid acts as an inhibitor of atherosclerosis by reducing the lipid levels, that is triglycerides and cholesterol. We should also remember that India predominantly a carbohydrate eating country. That means we eat lot of plant foods, particularly our country we are more than 80% people are consuming vegetarian diets. Vegetarian diets are predominantly is the source of carbohydrate. When we have the higher carbohydrates in our diet, there is an every possibility of triglycerides may increase. Also, there is a problems with the cholesterol. People with atherosclerosis has been shown that consuming the conjugated linoleic acid have a tremendous benefits for reducing these triglycerides and the cholesterol levels in the circulation. Supplementation of conjugated linoleic acid to an experimental animals results in significant regression in atheromatous lesions that forms plaques in the arteries. When a cardiac arrest, actually the problem of heart attacks comes, basically the plaques will be formed in the arteries. When these plaques are the aggregates of lipid moieties and there will be a blood supply will be inhibited, there will be a problem for the heart. Therefore, putting the conjugated linoleic acid in our diet can really reduces these atheromatous lesions that forms the plaques in the arteries. Both of these effects, reducing blood lipid profile like what I have mentioned about the triglycerides and the cholesterol, and the regression in atheromatous lesions may play a major role in reducing myocardial infarction and stroke. What you have to understand about the myocardial infarction is some of the heart cells will be dead. Once they are dead, they cannot be revived. That is the problem in the myocardial infarction. Therefore, to reduce these problems, particularly with the cardiovascular diseases, conjugated linoleic acid role has been recognized very effectively, and it has been shown. Another important area where the children suffer and also the elders with asthma in our country. Subjects suffer from asthma when they produce higher levels of leukotrienes, which are at least 1000 times more potent than histamine, which in causing bronchial constriction. You are all aware of when we have an allergy or a sort of a histamine levels goes up, there will be an allergic reactions which will occur. Usually when we go to the doctor prescribes about the antihistamines to reduce these allergies. But consuming the conjugated linoleic acid has been shown reducing these leukotrienes and histamine levels effectively. Conjugated linoleic acid helps 5-lipoxygenase and arachidonic acid inflammation without harming the arteries. Conjugated linoleic acid does this by converting DHA, that is docosahexaenoic acid, and EPA, that is eicosapentaenoic acid. Both have powerful anti-inflammatory properties. Then if you look at the body composition and links with the conjugated linoleic acid, research on human subjects explains that conjugated linoleic acid has benefits in lowering the body fats, and it is found that even positive result is observed with the combination of physical activity like exercises and regular intake of dietary conjugated linoleic acid. Regular intake of dietary CLA, that is conjugated linoleic acid, will effectively improve the body composition. Researchers concluded that there is a remarkable improvement in animal research that CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, supplementation is good for loss of body fat and gain of lean body mass, which is very important for not having or preventing or postponing the non-communicable diseases. Subjects supplemented with 3.2 grams of CLA per day had a reduction in fat mass of about 1 pound a month when compared to control. So you look at this. So very effective treatment has been shown in the human subjects, that by just consuming 3.2 grams every day the conjugated linoleic acid, you could reduce the fat mass and you can reduce the weight also by increasing the lean body mass. Now we look into the heart disease, hypertension, high cholesterol and triglycerides. More details. Experimental studies clearly establish that conjugated linoleic acid has the propensity to reduce level of plasma total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol and triglycerides. We should also understand about the cholesterol, particularly high density cholesterol, which is also called as good cholesterol, the low density lipoprotein or the LDL cholesterol, which is a bad cholesterol, and triglycerides. One has to increase the HDL, that is the good cholesterol, by means of diet quality and the physical activity which is possible. Whereas reducing the LDL cholesterol is important in non-communicable disease area, where you could reduce the LDL cholesterol even by the diet quality, which is an important part where these conjugated linoleic acids effectively works. Studies show that rabbits were fed with a standardized diet of 0.5 grams of conjugated linoleic acid per rabbit per day for about 3 months, exhibited lower levels of total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol and triglycerides. Look at this, very important situation even for a person with a diabetes, not only the cardiovascular diseases. A doctor will advise to reduce the LDL level to the tune of 100 milligrams per deciliter. Even to lower to that is always safer for a person with non-communicable diseases like diabetes or the cardiovascular diseases. So therefore, 0.5 grams of CLA has been shown in rabbit model that within 3 months it has reduced not only the total cholesterol but also the LDL cholesterol and the triglycerides effectively. So then with all these studies, either in the animal models or in rat model or the rabbit model or the human models, ultimately we look at for what could be the recommended dose of conjugated linoleic acid for maintaining our good health. So two predominant isomers, particularly the 9-cis, which I have explained you in the initial presentation, and the 11-trans and 10-trans and 12-cis are recommended in equal proportions. That is something like 1:1. According to many studies, when we look at the literature, it is found to be safe and that the daily dose of conjugated linoleic acid can be varied from 3 to 6 grams per day. So now we look into the gamma linolenic acid. So far we were talking about conjugated linoleic acid. Now we are talking about the gamma linolenic acid. There should be a difference which I have shown you. Gamma linolenic acid is a carboxylic acid with an 18 carbon chain and 3 cis double bonds. Gamma linolenic acid with omega 6 fatty acid with the first double bond at the 6th bond from the methyl end. If you look at in the structure, you could read from the methyl end. Gamma linolenic acid is produced in the body as an intermediate in the metabolism of linoleic acid by the enzyme delta 6 desaturase. So look at that, the difference between CLA and the GLA. GLA is produced in the body as an intermediate in the metabolism of linoleic acid. There is an enzyme required, that is delta 6 desaturase, which will convert these linoleic acid to GLA. So this reaction is the rate limiting step in the conversion of linoleic acid into its more unsaturated and longer derivatives. So now we look at the metabolism, what just now I have said about the linoleic acid, how it will be get converted to various forms of gamma linolenic acid. If you look at the first structure, that is about the 18:2, that means 2 double bonds are there in the linoleic acid, which you could remember my first slide also, which has been mentioned about this structure. And this linoleic acid now will be converted to gamma linolenic acid. Now you look at it, has the compound linoleic acid is having 2 double bonds, whereas now gamma linolenic acid has been made with 3 double bonds. This is also omega 6 fatty acid, which is further converted into dihomo gamma linolenic acid, which is 20 carbons. If you look at this structure, which has started with 18 carbons with 2 double bonds, converted to still 18 carbon atoms, but 3 double bonds has been converted to more carbon atoms like 20 carbon atoms with 3 double bonds. Now this dihomo gamma linolenic acid is converted to arachidonic acid, which has 4 double bonds now with a 20 carbon chain length. Arachidonic acid has been converted to 22 carbon chain length with 4 double bonds as a omega 6 fatty acid. This is now called as docosa tetranoic acid. So in a nutshell, what we have talked about linoleic acid metabolism starts with linoleic acid, converts to gamma linolenic acid, which has been further to dihomo gamma linolenic acid and arachidonic acid by changing the double bonds, and also by changing into the chain length of carbon, it has been converted to active form of docosa tetranoic acid. So then what are the sources of gamma linolenic acid? Gamma linolenic acid is found in seed oils from many plant sources. So now I am describing here 3 major sources, that is borage. Borago officinalis is the botanical name of this plant, of the Boraginaceae family, comprises about 20 to 27% of the total fatty acids. This gamma linoleic acid is around 20 to 27% in the borage. We might have all heard about evening primrose oil, which is very popular nowadays, which is called Oenthora biennis, is the botanical name, of the Onagraceae family, comprises about 7 to 14% of the gamma linolenic acid in this evening primrose oil. Blackcurrant is another plant which is called Ribus nigrum of the Saxifragaceae family, comprises about 15 to 19% of the fatty acids are gamma linolenic acid. Cannabinus sativa of the Cannabinaceae, Menarochia lauricifolia of the Cryophalaceae family, some other microorganisms and fungi also produces this gamma linolenic acid naturally. So if we recollect, borage looks like this, and evening primrose oil, which is also available in the markets, and blackcurrants, which are very famous, and these are the rich sources of gamma linolenic acid. Nowadays, the aged population, particularly worldwide, is increasing. Also, rheumatoid arthritis has been shown in the aged populations, particularly is going up. So many studies have been conducted both in animal and human model, and the results revealed that using GLA, particularly from the evening primrose oil, borage seed oil or blackcurrant seed oil, evidences that a potential relief of pain, morning stiffness and joint tenderness in rheumatoid arthritis patients, particularly when they are applying this oil. Dosage of 1.4 grams per day of GLA was found to be better and should be administered for a period of 24 weeks to get the effectiveness, particularly on rheumatoid arthritis in the people who are facing this problem. And we will also look into the health benefits of GLA into atopic diseases, asthma, psoriasis. Psoriasis is also a serious problem in the society. The GLA has been advocated. GLA has been shown to reduce itching, redness and toughness of atopic skin. Gamma-linolenic acid reduces infection and inflammation and overall severity of atopic dermatitis. In a later life, children with atopic diseases are evidenced by bronchial asthma. However, there are no particular clinical trials in treating the conditions by supplementing the gamma-linolenic acid. So, this is an area where it could be researchable. So, gamma-linolenic acid has been investigated for clinical trials and could not find any reason behind the treatment of psoriasis. Now we discuss about the hypertension is another non-communicable disease area. In India, non-communicable diseases are rampant. 20 to 25% across India you could see in the various states of this nation. So therefore, hypertension is a disorder which cannot be completely cured. It can only be maintained by the treatment by the doctor. So therefore, what could be the diet which we have to think about it? GLA is also a favorable compound where the hypertension can be reduced using this GLA. So some of the studies have suggested that GLA, that is gamma-linolenic acid, may help reduce high blood pressure either by its own or with a combination of omega-3 fatty acids like eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, which is richly found in fish oils. In a clinical trial, men with borderline high blood pressure who took 6 grams of black currant oil had a remarkable reduce in diastolic blood pressure compared to control. With respect to hypertension, a study examined people with sudden cramping, pain in the legs while walking that is caused by blockages in the blood vessels. Patients who had a combination of GLA and EPA, that is eicosapentaenoic acid, had decrease in systolic blood pressure when compared with the control. Some more studies have to be done to know the efficiency of the importance of the gamma-linolenic acid in hypertension. Diabetes mellitus is also very rampant in this country. People are predicting that India is going to be the world capital for the diabetes. So therefore, diet and physical activity is very important to control this non-communicable disease. So the GLA has a role in managing the diabetes. The gamma-linolenic acid is found to be beneficial for the complications of diabetes mellitus like diabetic neuropathy, nephropathy. Diabetes mellitus sufferers have abnormalities of essential fatty acid metabolism and they are in need of essential fatty acids because they are not synthesized in the human body and need to be provided by the diet. That's why we call it as essential fatty acids. Researchers have concluded that development of cataracts, retinopathy and cardiovascular damage can all caused by the administration of large daily doses of essential fatty acids. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. This is what you could see particularly in the children. Studies proved that the children with ADHD, that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, are deficient in essential fatty acids, both omega-6 and omega-3s. Essential fatty acids are important to normal brain and behavioral function. Some clinical trials conclude that intake of fish oil containing omega-3 fatty acids may reduce ADHD, that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder symptoms. Though the studies have not been well designed, but to a large extent it has been concluded there is a benefit of supplementing through the diet of these omega-3 fatty acids in children. Clinical trials that used evening primrose oil found to be better when compared to the controls. Heart diseases, studies prove that low total cholesterol, LDL and increased HDL cholesterol, these effects report that GLA supplementation may be beneficial in cardiovascular diseases. Other uses, the GLA supplementation proved to increase lymphocytes, a main important factor in immune response. It is also found to be positive in the treatment of cancer. Some clinical trials have concluded that improvement in immunological status with estrogen sensitive breast cancer and bladder cancer. Studies reported that GLA, that is gamma-linolenic acid, is effective in relieving the premenstrual syndrome symptoms including breast pain. So what is the recommended dosage? And by looking at the many stages, people have come to a conclusion that a safe dose of gamma-linolenic acid for the conditions including asthma, dermatitis and arthritis, the oral doses up to 0.5 to 3 grams per day has been shown in many studies. Lipids may be defined as compounds which are relatively insoluble in water but freely soluble in nonpolar organic solvents like benzene, chloroform, alcohol, acetone, etc. The classification, if you look at the lipids, they are simple lipids or homolipids, compound lipids or heterolipids or derived lipids, and this will be further fats and oils, waxes, phospholipids, glycolipids, steroids, terpenes and carotenoids. So, if you look at all these things, various compounds will fall into this category like simple triglycerides, mixed triglycerides, and you could see the carotenoids like lycopene, carotenes, xanthophylls like lutein, zeaxanthin, beta-cryptoxanthin, which are also compounds go well with these lipids. Some inherited human diseases resulting from abnormal accumulation of membrane lipids. Membrane lipids are polar which undergo constant metabolic changes. The rate of their synthesis is balanced by an equal rate of breakdown. The breakdown of lipids is promoted by hydrolytic enzymes which is capable of hydrolyzing a specific covalent bond. For example, the degradation of phosphatidylcholine, a membrane lipid, takes place by the action of several different phospholipases. Niemann-Pick disease is a rare genetic disease caused due to the defect of the hydrolytic enzyme sphingomyelinase, which cleaves the phosphocholine from sphingomyelin. Sphingomyelin accumulates in the brain, spleen and liver. The clinical manifestations are evident in infants, leading to mental retardation and early death. You could see this normal ocular cells and mutated ocular cells in this picture. Tay-Sachs disease is a genetic disorder due to the lack of lysosomal enzyme hexaminidase A, a degradative enzyme that normally hydrolyzes a specific bond between N-acetyl N-galactosamine and N-galactosamine residue in the polar head of the ganglioside. In this specific ganglioside accumulates in the brain and spleen, causing degeneration of the nervous system. If you look at this picture, the clinical manifestations of Tay-Sachs disease are progressive retardation in development leading to paralysis, blindness and death by the age of 3 or 4 years. So, physical properties of lipid classes. Properties of lipids depends on the polarity. Intermolecular forces play a major role in its function and behavior of lipids. Hydrophobic, that is nonpolar, hydrophobic interactions, dispersion forces which occurs in the lipids. Hydrophilic, these are polar structures comprised of polar and charged functional groups such as OH or COOH or CHO or NH2 amides, NR3 or COO. Functional groups are attracted to and are soluble in water through dipole-dipole forces and hydrogen bonding interactions. Amphiphilic, structures which have both nonpolar areas and polar or charged areas. This will affect how these molecules aggregate together. Dietary fat and the human body. Fats and cholesterols are carried through the bloodstream and distributed to and from the tissues and organs by lipoproteins. LDL, as we have discussed earlier, low density lipoproteins carry cholesterol from liver to other parts of the body, whereas HDL is a good cholesterol. It tends to accumulate more lipids in blood vessels. Lipids are subjected to oxidation when you have LDL levels go up. A high LDL level rise risk of plaque formation in the heart vessels and thus leads to heart disease. So, dietary fat and the human body. HDL, high density lipoprotein, carries cholesterol from the body to tissues to the liver. HDL acts as a scavenger to prevent oxidation. High HDL level lowers the cardiovascular disease. So, biological importance, lipids supply fat soluble vitamins like when you have vitamins like A, D, E, K, they should be only hydrophobic. They are much soluble with the lipids, so that they are very important constants for nervous system and for the various functions which you need a carrying system where the lipid soluble fat moiety can take. Thus, what we have learned, we can conclude from this module, particularly about the conjugated linoleic acid, gamma linolenic acid and its various structures of these fatty acids and their importance in the diet, particularly for preventing or managing the non-communicable diseases and more so of cardiovascular diseases. And we all knew that these components are very rich sources in dairy and also in animal origin products, and particularly in dairy, milk and milk products should be consumed to get these products, these fatty acids, particularly in our diet. Therefore, our diet should be balanced, and balancing with the fatty acids also both by monounsaturated polyunsaturated and saturated in a proper ratio, so that we can prevent and manage the non-communicable diseases very effectively from in the society. Thank you.